Okay.
I need to get it up.
Yep, loading it just now. Yeah, if any of the viewership has any questions at all, I do have the stream pulled up just to my left, so please feel free to voice those questions and we will answer them as soon as we can.
Definitely.
Alrighty.
I would also like to share my belief that if you're able, every single player in the world should be exactly the same, or should have the exact same strength for the first 5 minutes. Meaning, my build orders and my strategy, not my strategy, and my mechanics should be exactly the same as not Liquid Huck's. Oh my gosh, that's so sad. I keep saying Liquid Huck.
Hey, it's Liquid Huck, but it's EG Huck now.
I know, it's EG Huck. I still can't get over that. Wow, I am a broken record. But every single player should be able to have the same exact opening, because it's really not about micro or it's really not about micro or APM at that point. So there's really nothing that really separates players from other players. So one thing that we're going to be going over, especially in the month of January, by the end of the month of January, I want everyone who's been watching all the games to have a perfect first 5 minutes of the game.
Yep.
So it looks exactly like professional players, and then from there on out, you'll have such a big lead just from this first 5 minutes that you should be able to get out of bronze pretty simply just because of that one fact. But I'm uploaded into the next game. If you are ready, Septiel, we can go ahead and get started.
Alrighty, I am at the 5-second mark, and ready in 3, 2, and 1, and here we go. Alright. For this game, we did have our viewer, Rast. I think that's how you say it. It's kind of a difficult one to say, but we do have it. Rast. Whoa. Yeah. we got that. We got our Blue Zerg hero in the 6 o'clock position. We got Man Bear Pig, his opponent as the Red Protoss in the 9 o'clock position. We're once again going to be on Shattered Temple. And I think I'll be talking a little bit more this game because I understand a little bit more about the mechanics behind Zerg. And what I'd really like to emphasize in this game, particularly for Zerg, macro works out a little bit differently, and particularly income works out differently for Zerg, I think, than the other two races. I think, Veritas, you'd probably agree.
I definitely agree
with that statement. Just because of the fact that Zerg has a unique ability to make a lot of workers from a single production facility. However, making workers from that facility also makes it so that you can't produce other units. So there's a sacrifice, there's a give and take relationship between how many units you have versus how many workers you have. So by having more workers, you're going to have less units, but if you make it a macro-oriented game, the more workers you have, the more likely you're going to succeed in the later game.
Now, if you want to go ahead and pause right now,
okay.
I wanted to look a little bit at Man Bear Pig, which any of you who get that reference, I don't exactly understand that reference. I think it was from the mid-90s of some sitcom show, but that reference is something like that. Man Bear Pig, go ahead and Google it. I'm sure it's hilarious. Just thought I would bring that up. But I already want to note Man Bear Pig in his base, since I really like Protoss.
Yes.
I understand Protoss because that's my main race.
Absolutely. Mine too. So yeah, I remember seeing this in this game because I was watching this game before.
You can already see at 1 minute, or basically 2 minutes, he's floating 300 minerals. And yes, right now he has 155 because he is putting down that first gateway. But 300 minerals that fast into the game without any extra buildings is definitely not what you want to do.
Nope.
If you looked at the Protoss space for the last 10 to 15 seconds, he wasn't building a probe.
Wasn't building a probe, and there's a lot of chrono also, which we'll talk about that later, I'm sure. But that is a fairly large deal as well at this point in the game. And
if you guys go ahead and want to write down the first trick or keep note of the first trick, this is going to be specifically for Protoss. Here's some knowledge.
Here's some knowledge.
Here's some knowledge, guys. I'm laying down the facts. Each probe mines 40 to 45 minerals a second. Jeez, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. That'd be better than mules.
I know, dude. Except on a gold base, mules would still beat that. But anyway, 45 minerals a minute. And the absolute max efficiency for one base of StarCraft 2, one standard base that has 8 mineral patches, is 16 walkers. The maximum efficiency is to have 2 walkers on each mineral patch. So each probe is always mining when it's close, so there's no delay time.
That's often when you watch the pros, like you'll see them when they're microing their workers, they'll literally just keep clicking one worker right behind the next one until it starts mining, and then that'll put them in perfect sync, so then that way there are 2 always mining one mine patch, and then they just have to do that for all the mine patches. Sorry, just a little aside. If you're ever wondering why they're doing that, that's why.
That's exactly why. Now, hopefully, as you guys progress and you get more comfortable with your APM and your micro, you'll be able to do that, because it does help it. And it can win you a couple of games if it's that close.
Yep.
But what the trick I want Protoss players to do is, I want every single Protoss, until they get 16 men, 2 men on each one of the mineral patches, I want you to chrono boost probes only. Use your chrono boost only on probes until you have 16 walkers mining the minerals. And you're probably going to want to get gas before you get 16 probes, so you're going to probably want to get 19 probes in total before you stop using chrono boost. I guarantee that is going to make your economy...
huge difference.
It's going to make your economy better than the Zogs and the Terrans and the Ollie game, because chrono boost is just so powerful at that stage of the game, because you can get probes out in, like, I think it's 13 seconds instead of 17 seconds, which is a really big deal.
Yep.
So you get like an extra probe
every 2 production every 2 production cycles you're getting an extra probe, which absolutely, I mean, in the early game, within the first 6 minutes, that's going to be a huge deal.
Yeah, and say that one extra probe's mining for 3 minutes, that's an extra gateway that you can be popping down. So just little things like this really help your economy. So chrono boost out those probes until you get, let's say, 19 probes.
Yep.
And then you can start chrono boosting other things. But really focus when you're playing the games of always building a probe, no matter what. If this is difficult for you to keep track of that, go ahead and queue a lot of probes up.
Yep.
It's going to be better than not building any at all. Even though having 5 probes in the queue is probably not ideal, it's going to be better than
no probes.
None.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's much better to not have 300 minerals. And the way it works out, I mean, if you're spending 300 minerals on workers, that's going to take you, if you don't chrono that out, that's what? It's 17 seconds, so about 6 times 17, so you're going to have, like, what?
100-ish.
Yeah, 100-ish seconds worth of production. But each one of those workers then gives you another 40 to 45 minerals every minute. So then that balances out very quickly. I'd say by the 3rd or 4th worker, it pays for itself easily.
Yeah. So that's something that every single Protoss player should do. That's what every single Protoss player in the world should do. Even professional players do it. Everyone will agree with me. That's the maximum efficiency to my minerals. But let's go ahead. That took a while. Let's go ahead and get back into the game.
All right.
Unpause.
Alrighty, unpaused, and I'm going to be popping back into this game. One thing I remember distinctly about this game was the fact that Rast was able to get up 1 base much earlier against Man Bear Pig, and we're going to actually, spoiler alert, once again, Rast is going to win this game. And we're going to show you exactly how that is just due completely to economy. I think that there was he didn't have a super build that was like, you know, Gosu and just tore Man Bear Pig right out of the water and, you know, shut him down. It wasn't superior micro. It wasn't anything like that. We're just going to show you how worker production makes a huge difference in this game.
Exactly. I am answering a couple questions in the chat. One second. There we go. And moving back on into this game, Wrath, he's actually, for being bronze, or he told me he was bronze when he sent me the replays. He's actually a very well thought out player, and you're going to be able to see that later in this game.
Absolutely.
He plays very solid, especially against what Man Bear Pig does.
Yeah, he had very good decision making. I do remember this game. He had very good decisions for what to build and when to get drones and when not to. And that is, as Zerg, that is probably one of the biggest decisions that you have to make in this game, is when to decide to drone and when not to. So absolutely, good decision making. I love this cue by Man Bear Pig around the base. If you click on that probe, he's got like this pentagon business going on around the entire base. And honestly, if your APM is not up to par, this is absolutely completely fine. It is better to have scouting information than to lose your scout and not get any scouting information at all. So this is completely fine. If you just can't keep up with it, don't worry about it just yet. Not a big deal.
Yeah, just put a bunch of big boxes in, and eventually your probe's going to die like
that.
Like that. But that's fine. You were able to see what information he had, and really at this level of play,
there's not a lot that you're going to be getting out of that, because builds aren't the exact most finite at this or definitive. There we go. Yeah. That was the right word.
But you're going to be able to see if he's 6-pooling you, and that's definitely something you want to know. So
absolutely.
Getting scouting information is key at every single level. Even if you don't know exactly what to do with that information you have a basic idea. But scouting information we'll talk a lot about later on in this year, scouting information gets extremely important.
Yes.
Scouting,
especially, yeah.
Gold and platinum is when like scouting takes over, and that's really what separates players. But a man bear pig, as you can see, I guess he took some of my advice. He has 3 or 4 probes.
Yep.
He's on his Nexus.
Yeah, he took
He's
the
using his chrono.
He had precognition. He was like, that Bronze to Masters show, they're going to be talking about this, and I better put 3 workers in that production queue just to make sure I'm getting them. And he's even using his chrono now for that warp gate technology, which is a good use. That's probably, at this early point in the game, this is the second best use of your chrono, is to get warp gate, if you are going for a warp gate army, I might add. If you go, like, Stargate tech, then getting warp gate is really not the best of ideas, just kind of throwing that out there. But,
definitely not. It's not going to help you that much when you try to warp in a bunch of void rays in your enemy's base. It's not going to happen.
Dude, that would be so cool if you could have a pylon and warp in void rays. That'd be so imbalanced. Immortals, though, in the beta, did you know, little known fact, Immortals were actually a warp in unit from the gateways in the beta.
I remember those days. Those were fun. Oh yeah, siege tanks, I'll warp in 5 or 6 Immortals, no problem.
Absolutely.
Something I want to note in Man Bear Pig's base.
Okay.
I know I said I wasn't going to talk very much about strategy or builds.
Yep.
But pro tip, you can't support 6 gateways off one base.
Actually, I'd like to pause and talk about this for a minute, because this is something that I saw a lot in the games. Pausing right now. I'm at about the 7-minute, 20-second mark. But one thing in BASIC about production, don't worry necessarily about your composition at bronze level. The only thing you really have to worry about is if he's going air, then you should have anti-air. I'm serious. Like, apart from that, units, what type of units you have is not going to make a tremendous difference at the bronze level. We'll talk more about that in the silver, gold, and platinum leagues, about composition. We'll get into that later. But what I'd really like to focus on in this game, as Veritas was saying, you cannot support 6 gateways and a robotics facility off of one base. I'll break down production to the most simple terms that this game can explain it in. Production is maximized when you are spending all of your money and are using all of your production facilities. If you are doing those 2 things, you have perfect production for the number of bases you have. Now, we can talk about expansions, we can talk about aggressive play, but at heart, production is all about maximizing production with minimizing costs. It's running a business. This game is literally like running a business and attacking. You're like the government. You got tax collecting, which your poor drones are the poor saps paying taxes on this whole thing, and everybody else is out killing everything. So that's the way this game works.
The tax collector's beating down the drone's little house, taking his minerals away.
I know.
Jeez.
These people are mean. These people are mean.
I've never heard. I've heard like, oh, StarCraft. Yeah, it's a war game. No, it's like government, dude. It's the same thing.
Fascist.
Yeah.
It's all for the state. Anyway.
Something else you should probably note is in Rast, his base, the Zark player's place. Blue, his base.
Yeah.
He has quite a good number of drones. He has 24 drones, and he has 3 guys on gas, which means he has 21 drones mining on the 8 patches. And that's about 3 drones per patch, which is faster than 2 drones a patch, as someone pointed out in the
chat. Yep.
In the chat. But 2 drones is the most efficient. So, what you want to do is you want to get 16 drones on these 8 patches, and you want to move 16 drones, and you want to move the other 5 extra drones. You want to go ahead and move them to your expansion. That would be ideal. So if you're ever looking to expand and you're following the rule, only have 16 probes on minerals, if you're building an expansion, kick in the probe production.
Yep. And then you'll be able to saturate. Right as soon as you
by
get it
the
up.
time your expansion's done, you already have like 7 or 8 walkers ready to go, ready to make you lots of money.
Absolutely. All right, you ready to unpause?
Yep.
Okay, unpausing now. Alrighty then. I tell you, man, I'm probably going to be saying this every time we have this show, but they really do need like the multi-person replay function and LAN. I've heard that in the previous show that we were doing. They were like, yeah, they need LAN as well.
LAN and replays. Cast us favorite things.
In response to your question, The Steel, if 2 per patch is the most efficient, wouldn't it be better not to move drones when you have 16, only any extra? Yeah, moving extra is good. You see some pros